Got a target out there at about 80 yards. We're going to use this AB Quantam app. It's giving me a dial of 0.95. And it can be that easy. All right, too easy? Yeah, maybe. Let's change it to 167 yards, which I think is my furthest target if we can see it. 4.87, we're gonna go to 4.9. Target right there, that's it. We do have an overhanging limb there, and I know that white is terrible on the camera, but let's see if we can sneak it through the tree. Well, tree kind of blocking it, but yeah, it's that easy. In the world of long range shooting, there's no shortage of high dollar items that are going to help you be more successful. But do you need all of this stuff, or do you likely already own and have what you're watching this video on as a bare minimum for long range precision shooting? Well, today we're going to go into just that. We're going to look at the AB Quantam app. We are going to set up this precision rimfire, build out the dope. We're going to shoot it out to 150 yards and see how we get along. All right, so the first thing we need to do is get muzzle velocity numbers. Now, you can go without this. There are ways using an app to estimate your muzzle velocity, but with the availability of good chronos today, like the Garmin, the Athlon, or even this more expensive FX True Ballistics chronograph, that's one place that I would recommend. Either you find a buddy who has one. If you show up to any kind of like actual competitive range, PRS range, somebody's going to have a Garmin or one of those Athlons or a good chronograph. So that is one thing. If you want to be self-reliant, I think you do need a good chronograph. That's probably one thing where you shouldn't skimp out on, because it's good enough now to where that's a very crucial step to the app. And I'm going to show you guys on a screen record how we go about setting this up. But that's step one. We're going to fire up trigger cam. We're going to double check our zero at 50 yards for this rimfire. We're going to compare it against our muzzle velocity numbers and see what we get. All right, so before we actually fire this up, what we're going to do is we're going to send 1 or 2 burners to get the barrel kind of up to temp, get the humidity in the barrel, make sure things are normalized. Then we're going to turn on this chrono. Today is not a great day for shooting. It's super windy, but I wanted to get this video out, and I do need to build a dope chart for this, so likely we would have to refine it. Choose a better day than what I'm choosing. It's really windy today. But anyway, let's fire up the scope cam. So, and I'm actually not even going to get on the gun. We're just going to burn a couple here. Just going to make sure they are into the target. We'll shoot at this spot. Okay, actually looked pretty good. All right, so let's fire up the chronograph here. And I'm gonna get a good 10 to 15. I got another mag here. And yeah, you're gonna see I'm shooting off a bag. Now that's by design, because when I shoot matches, 90% of my shots are being shot off of a bag. They're not being shot off of a bipod. So I kind of want to simulate that. And we're not super worried about the group here either. Said the weather is just not good. Oh, it didn't pick one up. First time using this mag in a while, so likely needs some adjustment. Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think I got one there. Yeah, this mag needs to come up a little bit. I'll adjust it later. So we're not super worried about the windage today either on this group, because the wind is up and down. More worried about elevation. As you can see, it is grouping really well. And yeah, we'll keep shooting here, and then we'll pull up those numbers. I'll show them to you guys. This little screen, if you can't see that, That's what I'm seeing. I'm just simply using this to make sure that you guys are seeing, you know, something worth seeing in the video. That's it. Nothing fancy there. But on the left side, it was really in my way. You can see how the wind's died down now. And we are a little bit off, so I'm gonna make a little adjustment here. I'm gonna go 1/10 right. Just because when the wind is down, we do appear to be left. Let's go to a freshie. Again, I'm not taking an insane amount of time to shoot these groups. I am just on a bag. Let's slow it down a little bit. Okay, that one I felt really good about. When you're shooting off a bag, everything's got to be right. I don't normally show this in a video. This is actually how I shoot 99.9% of the time. But I don't show it in video because the simple fact is, if I'm testing something for groups or whatever, I don't want you guys to think it's me. If something shoots poorly, you know, it's an easy thing to be like, ah, well, he's shooting off a bag. So I shoot off a bipod and a rear bag, so that's not in question. But let's take a look at these numbers. Focus. Hopefully you guys can see those. That's what we're going to enter into our ballistics calculator, and let's do that right now. Start a screen record here for you guys. I'm looking at this, so it looks like we had an average of 1091, standard deviation of 5.24, and extreme spread of 24, so not bad. And that was across 23 shots, so pretty good sample. So we're into my profile here. We're going to go edit that Voodoo Ely Match 05343. That is the lot that we're shooting. All right, so I'm going to go to the AB bullet library. Let's see what we have here. Should be, maybe they have a rimfire section specifically. No. All right, let's go to 224, Ely rimfire, Ely match, custom drag model. All right, and as we come down, velocity, we're going to change that to 1091, zero range 50 yards. I've already put in the sight height of 2.2 inches. Twist rate, we're going to change to 16. This is a 1 in 16 twist right hand. All right, we're not going to worry about the scope. The muzzle velocity temp table, we'll do that later. That's something where you can shoot this in colder weather, input the velocity, hotter weather, input the velocity. That will allow it to interpolate based on the outdoor conditions what the muzzle velocity will be on. All right, so we're gonna save this. Okay, so that is our generic information entered into the ballistic calculator. So that's all you need to do as far as the Quantum AB. So when I talked about it earlier, what do you need? You know, a lot of guys are using the Kestrel 5700 Elite. That has everything that this basically has, but the Kestrel has environmentals built into it, so it'll collect environmentals. This will not. It will like ping local stations and you can link it to a Kestrel, but I don't think you need to buy a Kestrel anymore because there's going to be plenty of people with weather stations or Kestrels at a match, so it's not going to be super duper important. All right, so what we're going to do is go to shoot. Now, once we are in shoot, there's a lot of options here on this drop down. So first of all, we're just going to go to target. When we're ready to make corrections, that's when we're going to come back down here and we're going to go to ballistic calibration and we're going to be able to change things up. But let's go to target and we're going to set our first target distance at 100, and then we're going to do 130, and then we're going to do 150, which is the furthest we're shooting today. So we're just going to take those basic measurements that we collected, and first we're going to apply them. We're going to shoot at 100 yards, 130, 150 through the scope cam. So let's do that now. Let's see how this pans out. All right, so while I load this mag, I do want to encourage you guys to take a look at Saber Tactical. They are sponsoring the channel. You guys have seen that rear rest on here before. They also offer some very economical weights. I don't have them on here right now. This rifle really doesn't need a lot of weights, but I have been using them. I have 3 or 4 sets, and the price per pound of the weight and how well they're finished is really nice. Now, there are other things coming out in the future we can't exactly talk about right now. So I really appreciate them sponsoring the channel, helping me bring you guys this kind of content, helping me stick around, because you know YouTube doesn't like us. That's pretty obvious. But yeah, if you want to reciprocate the thanks to them, just go check out their products. That rear rest again and the weights, both really good buys. All right, let me fire up the scope cam here. Let me get this back out of our way. All right, there we go. Get our parallax set just right, and yeah, the target's shot to crap. Let's take a look at what this recommended. 1.75, so we're gonna dial 1.7. Let's see. Tat cam's, trigger cam's kind of my way. All right, 1.7, 100 yards. And let's just go dead center of those. As we're looking at elevation here, not necessarily windage, because the wind's pretty bad. We're gonna aim at that spot. That's pretty on. You know, ideally we'd be shooting at something a little cleaner. We do have this guy, but the wind's probably gonna sail us right off of it. Okay. Wind did move us, but as you can see, well, maybe if my stuff doesn't blow over. Let me get it in camera. On that target there, you know, we were aiming dead center. We hit a little off, but not enough to worry about. Let's go to 130, 3.13. 3.13. Find this guy. That'd be this guy. Again, these are shot up targets. It's hunting season, so I don't like to go out there in case somebody's hunting. We're gonna go right at the stem of this. That's pretty close. Pretty happy with that. You can see our impacts right there. All right, let's go. 150 yards says 4.12. So 4, let me make sure. 4.1. 150 yards, let me get that parallax for you guys. All right, you can see the targets are kind of shot up out there. Again, it'll get better. Guys are out bow hunting right now, and I'm trying not to disturb a bunch of people by being a jerk. All right, let's go top left quadrant there. Okay, that was definitely, looked to be a little high. Okay, that was on, so maybe just one round. Okay. So it's maybe a hair high. Let's hit it with our rangefinder. All right. You know, we're talking about long range shooting. You don't need to have a rangefinder, but it certainly helps. I actually ranged it from right here on the back of this is 151.7. So I'm gonna let me start recording for you guys. Can we do 0.7? We're gonna do 151.7. We'll round it up. So it is telling us 4.2 when we change that to 152. So let's change this to 151. Let's see what the difference is between the two. 4.1, so 4.2, 417 to 423. Interestingly enough, I think that's gonna put us further away, because we're already trending high. All right, let's go right here on the edge of the circle on the plate. Yeah, we're definitely high. I'm gonna say we need to be 4 mils. So let's send one here, 4 mils at the truing target. Yep. So it's saying I need to be more. Barely nicked that one. All right, so what we're gonna do now, we have this going. We're gonna come down here and we're gonna go to ballistic calibration. I'm gonna go over to DSF. We don't want a true muzzle velocity because we know what that is through the chronograph. CDF, that would be for supersonic speed, which we're never in because we're shooting rimfire. So we're gonna go to DSF, and we're gonna change the yardage to 151, done. And our actual is, we're gonna go down to 4.03, close enough. So at this point we're gonna go use DSF. And now you can see on here at 151 yards that has changed to 4.03, which is our actual. So let's go back to 130. So now it's telling us at 130 is 3.04 and 1.7 at 100. So this is what I like to do, work a little backwards. So we're gonna be at 3 mils. We've made one DSF correction. Now the important thing about DSF corrections is we don't wanna correct backwards, right? So we wanna enter our data, and then what we wanna do is shoot out, and if we notice an error, we wanna correct it. If we make another correction, we wanna make that correction further on the table, right? So if we made a correction like we have now, at 150, we're not gonna make a correction at 100. If we're gonna make an additional correction at DSF, it's gonna be further than 150. But typically I find once you make one correction, you're gonna be pretty in there. So, all right, let me turn this back on. And we're shooting 3 mils, it's calling for 3.04. We're gonna aim at the top of this guy. Hopefully wind doesn't screw us. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. If I'm unsure, I'll pick like an unhit spot. Yeah, we're right there. Maybe a hair low on that bullet. Yeah, but nothing to worry about. So now we're gonna go to 1 point. Hard to see with this trigger cam in a way. 1.7 to 100 yards. We're gonna come up here to this top plate, and we're just gonna verify. So I'm using my reticle because you can see there's not really like a good point of aim. So I'm gonna use my reticle to put like that, like the subtension line right on the bottom of that plate. And I can go back and compare. So that first one was a hair high. Not really, actually. Pretty well spot on. So yeah, it's looking pretty good for that dope. Just off left. Of course, I got to play it with a 1/4 inch. There we go. So I think we've got enough of that. Let's talk a little bit more about what you can and can't get away with as far as building out and shooting long range precision. All right, so we pretty much went through that, and I've got a yard sale of stuff. We've got a rangefinder, we've got a Kestrel, I've got the Quantum AB app, I've got a Chronograph. Real question is, what do you actually need? Well, the real answer is you don't need any of this, right? If you have a range with known distances and you got a pen and paper, you can go online and just put in what you're shooting, like just a simple Google search, whether you're shooting 6.5 Creedmoor, 6 Creedmoor, it doesn't matter, 308, 223, and you can get a rough estimate for whatever system of scope you're using, whether it's mil or MOA. If you have a dialable scope that repeats and you got pen and paper, you can make your own dope chart. Now, these fancy calculators are going to give you that, and it's going to take a lot of that work away from you, because realistically for a centerfire, then you need a 0 to 100, shoot at like 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. Shoot out and mark all that down, make your own dope chart, and that's going to get you on target, because a lot of times you're going to go to a range and, well, they're going to be known distances. Even if you go to a competition, most competitions, they give you the yardages. So do you really need a rangefinder? Not really. You can definitely get away with it. In a rare case you do need one, there's going to be people around with it. Same with the Kestrel. Now, the AB Quantum app, it does a lot of really good things, but your phone doesn't pull in like its actual own environmentals. This will get like real environmentals. I have gone away from using the Kestrel 5700 Elite though, because the Quantum AB app is so easy and I always have it with me. I don't have to worry about it. The batteries are not gonna die. And let's be honest, when I go to a match, if I need environmentals, then there's 100 people there with Kestrels or weather stations. And honestly, let me fire up another screen record for you, because this can pull it from weather stations. So if we come back here to target, there you can see we can set our azimuth and all that. I don't know if it'll show on the screen record, but this is pretty cool. You press and hold, pulls up your camera. You can look down on your range and set your azimuth and inclination all in one shot. Pretty cool. Go to environment, and we can just hit these little icons below humidity, pressure, temperature, and it's going to pull that from a local weather station. So it's pretty easy. Come back to target. We know we're shooting in that direction because we set our azimuth, and it's a left to right wind, so we can pull this wind direction if I can get my phone to cooperate. But we can manually put in, so the wind direction we'll say was left to right there at 2 to 6 miles an hour. Now if you look at our yardages on there, it's going to give you a wind hold. So it's going to tell you the direction and the amount. Now when you use some other things, you know, cool things that you don't really need, like the Calypso wind meter, it will give you real-time information. But again, the reality is you can definitely get away with just using the Quantum AB app. Now a chronograph, for setting up your data, that's going to really help if you want to use an app or a ballistic calculator 5700 Elite. Again, there's a ton of people who have these. Do you need to actually buy one? It's debatable. I'm sure you know people who shoot, who have them. You can go and get your muzzle velocity from them, build your tables out, and live life without this. I very rarely pull out my chronograph, especially if I'm not out, you know, like looking for ammunition and doing this kind of testing. So at the end of the day, you don't need a ton. If you've been looking at the Quantum AB app, hopefully this has showed you that it's really super duper helpful. Now, I will take this rifle out to 300 yards at my buddy's house. We got a part 2 of a video anyway. We're going to be shooting this rifle and 2 others out to distance. So I will refine this once I get out there. Now, would this work? Yeah, it's going to be within a 10th, probably all the way, 10th or 2 out to 300 yards. No problems at all. It's pretty close. If I wanted to shoot something right now at a distance, I could within 150 yards, even out to 200-300. I could probably get away with it. But it's that easy. I appreciate you guys watching. Catch you on the next one.